So, say you two were trapped in the Overlook Hotel, and you had a bunch of ghosts that were offering you room service. Are you saying yeah, sure, why not? Or are you like hell no and running straight out into the snow?
Well, I mean, that is completely determined by maybe what's going on in the world at the time. Maybe being a ghost joining them, dying a horrific death by eating their poisoned rat or whatever they would serve me for room service. Maybe being a ghost in Overlook is like a better deal than hanging out here and waiting for the apocalypse.
I think it depends. Room service is just generally very expensive, so I'd be very nervous about that.
I think it would be complimentary under
Well,
these
if it's complimentary, then I can't turn that down.
And he's an opportunivore, so he would literally eat whatever they served him,
Even if it was poisoned rat?
even if it was poisoned rat. He'd be like, "Well, this is
I mean,
what
I haven't tried it.
this is what the chef
You don't know.
recommended."
You don't know you don't like it unless you try it.
Oh.
True. Hello to everybody out there. I'm the Terrific Lady, otherwise known as Brandy. Welcome to Retro Horror School Talks, where I drag a person or people, in this case on here, kicking and screaming to gush about retro horror and retro horror movies. And with me, this is the first time like for this show. This is the first time that I've had more than one guest. I have two. And they were both involved in the awesome horror comedy Evil Sublet. Jennifer Lee Houston is the star and one of the producers, and Allan Piper is the writer and director. So welcome. It is so great to have you all in here.
Brandy, thanks so much for
Thanks.
having us.
Yes, thank you so much. We're so excited.
We're going to be talking about a great movie today. Well, about two great movies today. So tell the folks out there a little bit about who you are, what you do, and a little bit about Evil Sublet.
Evil Sublet is a horror comedy, and it is based on inklings, just a little bit gave you the idea for Evil Sublet, on the haunted apartment that we both shared in the East Village. Now I am primarily an actor and a singer and a former dancer, but I'm also a cake sculptor. Evil Sublet is the thrill of my life. It is about a middle-aged couple who move into a haunted apartment knowingly because the rent is cheap. And if you know anything about Manhattan real estate, you will 100% know why somebody would do something like that.
And the evil in Evil Sublet stands for East Village.
Yes.
And this movie also marks the horror debut of screen legend Sally Struthers. She plays the mysterious landlord. And the movie has won a bunch of awards at film festivals, and you can see it now on Tubi, on Amazon, on Fandango, and multiple other places. So I hope that viewers will check it out.
Yeah, so they basically could see it everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. We even have international distribution, so we're starting to roll out like in other parts of the world.
Oh, how cool.
We're in Canada. I believe we're in South America right now, and more to come.
Nice. So people who are not in the United States, if Evil Sublet is not available yet, definitely keep an eye out.
Yeah.
I was relieved. So we've showed the movie in lots of places. One of the places was just about a year ago, this weekend, we showed it in Slovenia at part of Grossman Fest, and it is such a New Yorkie movie that I thought, well, will people in Slovenia even get the what's going on here? And they did. So that was great to see. In fact, I even discovered that people in Slovenia will laugh at Staten Island. So so that was very reassuring.
Awesome. Well, I am definitely going to be checking it out myself. Evil Sublet is something that I've had on my list for quite a while. I have like a big long list of movies that
As do we. Yeah, I totally get it.
It
Well, this is
never
such a great moment for indie horror too. It's easy to get a lot of things on your list because there's so many really interesting, exciting things
Yeah.
coming out.
Yeah, it's like, "Ooh, I wanna watch this, and I wanna watch that, and I wanna watch that." Before you know it, you have, like, about 100 plus so movies, like, on your list. Like, "Oh,
Yeah.
dang.
Yeah.
How am I
It's
gonna get through all these?"
it starts to feel like homework a little bit. I'm like, "Oh my god, this better be good. We're giving up our whole night to what." And I'm harder on films than he is. He's so generous of spirit and, I think that comes from being I'm just a tough audience member. There's just a lot of stuff I don't like. I even like our own movie after watching it 30 times, and that's really saying something because I hate everything. That's not true. I don't hate everything. But I'm definitely a tougher audience than he is. You're very, very generous audience member.
Aw. So, I totally get it, like, we're either spending our time, or we're spending our money, or we're spending both, one of the 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, yep, yep.
So the movie that we are going to be talking about today, which is one that I had to grow into, but it is one of my favorites now. It is The Shining, which
Mhm.
came out in 1980, so a while ago. It is directed by Stanley Kubrick, based on the novel by Stephen King, and it is just a freaking awesome movie. You have just this iconic and disturbing performance by Jack Nicholson. You have Shelley Duvall as Wendy Torrance, who just really just brought her all to the screen, and even Danny Lloyd and Scatman Crothers, just like they brought their all and just did an amazing job. It's just it has earned its place in the horror genre. Now, I can't really remember the first time that I watched this movie. I've been very back and forth on it for a while. So let me just throw the question out there. Do you remember the first time that you saw The Shining?
Well, that's kind of a weird thing because I love it. I think it is my favorite horror movie. I have watched it many times, and yet somehow I can't pinpoint the moment when I saw it for the first time. It's almost as if it's a thing that when you see it, it infects your psyche and you feel like it's been with you forever. I know I have, sadly, I have never had the opportunity to see it on the big screen,
Yeah, me neither.
which is absolutely on my list to do. But yeah, I simply love it. I overall, I think the haunted house genre is my favorite subgenre of horror because I think it has the most opportunities to do strange and unusual and terrifying things. I think it sort of ties mostly directly into uh, sort of childhood fears. And so I think this movie, which does a twist on the haunted house in having a haunted space that's not quite a house, I just find it utterly fascinating. And it is Evil Sublet is a love letter to a lot of horror movies, but one of the ones that we draw most heavily on is The Shining, because it just is so iconic to both of us.
Yeah. Sometimes blatantly so,
When did
which is fine. You know what? Honestly, I cannot remember the first time that I saw it either. I have a feeling that it was long after it came out, even though I was definitely watching horror back in the 80s, but also like I came from a very religious household. So that was right in the middle of a lot of satanic panic, if you will
Yep.
recall. So there was a lot of ways in which I had to sneak what I was going to watch. So I definitely did not see it at the cinema either. And I have a feeling that it probably would have been several years later when I was in college. And, by that time, and it was in the 80s, and, everybody owned their VCRs. And the Friday, Saturday night, we're going to pick out a movie thing was, that's what we did. Pretty sure that that is when I saw it. But I will tell you, I remember being horrified and also in love with it. Absolutely just blown away. But that's my favorite thematically, that is my favorite type of horror film. The space that's haunted for reasons unknown, for longevity, like we have no idea when or how it began. I feel like Stanley Kubrick kind of tried to stuff a little bit more in there about, the Indian burial ground or whatever. I don't believe that Stephen King necessarily, because he's more of a sorry, you're adults. If you're reading this, you're going to have to figure this out on your own or
Yeah.
come to your own conclusions. But yeah, I remember just feeling completely like so sad, horrified, right? Because you see the demise, you see the family crumble, and this child, oh my god, and Danny's performance
Mm.
as because I was in the theater department at that time too, so I was like watching everybody's performance, and I'm like, how did they get this child? But mostly,
Yeah.
I was fucking terrified of what was around the corner. Um, I'm corpsophobic. That's probably not a word, but I mean, I'm just absolutely horrified of corpses, which is weird for a horror person. But yeah, I remember it. I carried it with me for many, many, many days afterwards.
Man, I wish I had that same experience because, like I said, I've been very back and forth on this film for a very long time. I either go between like, oh, I went between, oh, it's great, or like, oh God, it is so like overrated. Everybody talks about The Shining now, just like, but once I've had to watch it like a lot of times for just like other just like research purposes, and once I had, it's like, you know what, I really like this film. I dig it. It's just like it's cool. The performances are great. It's creepy, and I don't think I'll be checking into the Overlook anytime soon.
Can I just say add one more thing about coming to it from an actor's point of view? So it had been a while since either one of us had seen it, and we watched it the other night. And when it first got ramping up, I was watching Jack Nicholson's performance, and I was like, "What a ham bone! Like, dude, what are you doing?" Like it right at first, and then I'm like, "No, I get it. I get it." If I don't know how it would be if I just came as an adult right now and watched it for the first time. I have because I have these childhood feelings from it, right? But it started to really rub me the wrong way, and then I was like, "Oh, no, no, no. He's great. It's great. It's totally fine. Totally on board." So, yeah,
Yeah, it's like it's over the top, but I think just the right amount of over the top for just
I
like the
agree.
situation that they find themselves in. And so The Shining came out just like at this weird kind of time for horror, just like 1980. So we're just right at the edge of the slasher boom. So before slashers just exploded. And you didn't really see a lot of movies like The Shining, like especially just like because 80s was like slasher, 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 slasher. So it really sticks out like in this era of horror. So how do you feel that The Shining like fits into 80s horror? Like where do you feel that its place is?
I don't think it fits into 80s horror. I don't think it fits into I mean, it was all right? It was all slasher, right? It was Nightmare on Elm Street and, Friday the 13th and all of that, which is super cool. Definitely saw all of that stuff. But this is a standalone thing. This is a standalone thing. I don't think that the other haunted space movies, haunted house movies got nearly the attention that The Shining did either. And some of them are very good, those that came out in the early 80s. But this one is its own thing. Jaws was its own thing when it came out, right? Like
Mhm.
people didn't even know where to classify it. Like, is
Yeah.
it an adventure? I mean, is it like a thriller? Is it horror? By the way, I deem it horror, but that's just me. But yeah, I feel again like it really is its own thing.
I think contrasting The Shining with slashers, so, in the final act, it resembles a slasher film in the sense that you have someone with an axe. You have a crazy axe murderer chasing people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But it kind of in some ways, it's sort of the opposite of the slasher genre. There's a school of thought that most horror, if not all, is fundamentally about, chaos versus order. And the, uh, the traditional slashers, the villains, paradoxically, they seem chaotic in that they are killers, but they're actually sort of enforcers of order because the protagonists are young people who are sort of rebelling against the order in whatever sense, particularly in the sense of having sex outside of marriage, but also in the sense of seeking personal autonomy, So, in a sense, the teen protagonists of the classic slashers are uh, acting against the traditional nuclear family, and the killers are punishing them for that. In The Shining, it's sort of the reverse. The axe wielder at the end is going to destroy or trying to destroy a traditional nuclear family. I mean, you have this tight family union, two child. Wendy is very much, in a lot of ways, very classic homemaker. We see her bringing breakfast in bed
Yeah.
to Jack. She's actually taking on the responsibilities that Jack was hired to do,
Yeah.
to take care of the place. She's actually taking care of the space, sort of adopting the traditional role of being the homemaker, and it's for that they're essentially going to be punished.
Jack. Let's talk about Jack, like, for a little bit here. So that's funny. So the character's name is Jack Torrance. It's played by Jack Nicholson. So just like Danny Torrance is played by Danny Lloyd. So I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. But okay, so Jack Torrance is he seems like he's just this man who's on the edge, just especially at the beginning. Though you get the feeling that because of just like he's battling alcoholism. So I think when he said it was 5 months without a drink. And so he's been dealing like a lot with just like being on the edge, like with that, his own like personal demons. But how do you see his arc? Is he a man that you feel is always on the edge, or do you feel that he's a man that, like, once he got to the hotel, that's when he started his descent into madness?
I think that he was always on the edge. I don't even know how he and Wendy got together. I don't even know how he agreed to have a child. He does not strike me in any way, shape, or form as a family man. I'm assuming that as soon as he was old enough to drink, he was a drinker. Um, you know, um, tortured by alcoholism. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why? Why was he an alcoholic? I mean, not that people need a reason to be an alcoholic, but sometimes they do. Sometimes people get pushed into burying unknown, undesirable feelings. We push them down with drugs and alcohol, which it seems like that's probably what he did. But yeah, I think like the Overlook itself, maybe he was born bad. Um, then you have to ask yourself, you know, was he? Is he a reincarnated something? I don't know. Did he
Yeah.
live, did he live and die? Um, and work in those early days at the Overlook? Probably. I don't know because again, we don't know what we're supposed to surmise from Stephen King's writings. We have to come to our own conclusion and sit and talk to you like, well, maybe he was just, a reincarnated person who had been there and he was evil to begin with. I don't know. Maybe he was born without a soul. Do you know what I mean? Maybe
Mhm.
he's just like, that's kind of one of my newer thoughts about really, 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 really bad people is like, do you have a soul? Maybe you don't have a soul.
Mm.
I don't know. Maybe God ran out of souls. I don't even know if I believe in a soul. I'm just saying we're grasping straws, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the Overlook job gave him permission to finally be who he actually is.
I think the genius of a big part of the genius of Stephen King is the way he intertwines very mundane, and I don't mean mundane in a boring way, but like mundane in the sense of real life. The way he intertwines real life drama and danger that we can all relate to with supernatural danger. So um, I think family difficulties and alcoholism and tense father son, tense husband wife relationships are things that are very familiar to everyone, whether they've been directly in the experience or just tangentially, but it's very familiar, it's very down to earth, and then to have this supernatural aspect then amplifying it, I think is just really just makes it all the more disturbing. But I think I see Jack as a more sympathetic character than you do. I see all the characters. I see all the characters as tragic victims. Every one of them as victims of this space.
You think Jack is a victim of the space?
I think yes.
You don't think that Jack had epic problems?
Clearly he had
before-
problems. Clearly he had problems going in.
I mean,
That's,
he
that's
was-
what makes but that's he's a tragic figure.
Yeah, he was tragic. No, it's true. I mean, I am not somebody who's going to demonize people who suffer from alcoholism. It's tough when there are children involved, and those children are so brutalized by their alcoholic parents. You know, we do not have children, but we are child adjacent, meaning I take care of other people's children. And I am such a good auntie, and I have such incredibly sympathetic feeling for children that it's maybe a little bit harder for an adult who's mortally wounded a child. But you know, it's like, what was Wendy's even attraction to Jack? I don't know. He must have been some hell of a charming devil. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, let's get into Wendy, because when I hear people talk about The Shining, they mainly mention it's Jack Nicholson's performance that mainly gets talked about. But Shelley Duvall as Wendy is just like, oh my gosh, Lord, that woman was put through a lot, and her character goes through quite a bit. So how do you see Wendy? Do you see her as just like typical final girl survivor type character, or do you see her as something different entirely?
I, I mean, I think yeah, I think she is. I think she is her own thing. Um, I think Shelley Duvall's performance is just so magnificent that her fear, her panic is so contagious. I think both she and Danny Lloyd have this just utterly contagious, infectious, deep fear and terror, and that is what makes that is what makes the movie so chilling. It is both of them, and it is yeah, I feel yeah, I don't know what more to say than that. It's just that it's so I just feel such a deep connection and anxiety and fear for both of them that it's just utterly shaking.
Oh my God. I'm like, actually, my emotions are like so close these days, but I'm actually tearing up here, sitting and thinking about and just really, really recalling. Um, knowing what I know and how difficult the shoot was for her and what Stanley put her through. I hope as an actor, I never, ever, ever have to deal with somebody like, what am I saying? I actually have dealt with directors like that.
Not me, not me,
Not, no,
not me.
no, not my husband, not my husband. No, I've had a long theater career. I've had some epically bad experiences, mostly drug fueled bad directors. But anyway, if you go into it, watching it again and knowing that, you know, she was really, they had a really rough relationship, right? She and Stanley, and she was really put through the ringer. And sometimes I know that a director will exacerbate a vulnerability to get the performance that he wants from an actor, which what I have to say about that is fuck you. Maybe you should have hired a different actor who gave you what you want in the first place. But at the same point, I can't even imagine anybody else playing that role. I found her a bit stilted at the top, like she didn't know how to be, but at the same point, she really wasn't given a lot to work with. If you'll remember, when she first, for the first, what, 25 or probably 30 minutes, she was all like, oh, wait, Sherry's pretty. Oh, well, you think you're gonna be okay here, Doc? Kind of like the same way Sally Struthers was on All in the Family, like, okay, Ma, help you make dinner. Like like not a lot of meat to really chew on until she did, right?
Mhm.
Until she does, and then you're just like, "What am I looking at?" That first turn for her, this makes me wanna cry, when she goes down to talk to Jack,
Yeah.
and he says, "What the fuck, and get the fuck out of here. When you hear me tap, tap, tap," and I mean, I have chills. My heart would break, and as a woman who's been in a not some great relationships.
And not again, not me.
No, not him. No, he's my 3rd marriage. No, there's been a lot of doozies along the way, but she's stuck out there in that moment. What is going through her mind in that moment? I mean, a lot, and
Yeah.
she can't show Jack that she's terrified of him in that moment. She goes, "Okay, well, but she goes back to that room and she's like, "What is happening here?" And from that moment on, the performance of a lifetime.
I don't know. I think it starts from the moment she's on screen. I mean, that scene where she's got the cigarette and the ashes burning down and she's not smoking it.
Yeah, it's like
And
a meme now. It's just like the ash, like it's like
Wendy Torrance's ash,
yeah,
yeah.
well, but
Yeah.
it I mean it is her. I feel her being consumed and trapped even in that moment. And she's trying to describe the experience of how it was that Jack had injured Danny. And
I'm sorry. I am so just here we because I am such a harsh audience. I'm like, look at and because I want big meaty roles for women, I want so I here my thoughts the other night were actually like, well, I don't she's kind of driving me crazy too. Yes, but that's like I'm terrible. Like I can be such a bitch. Like, girl, do you not know that I'm working? What do you but at the same point then automatically I flip and go, "Oh my god, I just feel her vulnerability, and my heart is breaking for her in this moment." As a mom, as a woman, as a wife, like, where's she supposed to go? What are you gonna do? You know? Shit, girl, you don't even bring a hobby with you. You're not even like for me, I have a million crafts. I could
Yeah.
if he's acting a fool, Imma go, like, build a mermaid out of cake or something, you know what I mean? Like, I don't fine, I'll get out of your hair, whatever, I have my own world I can escape to, and Wendy did not have that. She couldn't zone out, she's still got to take care of the house, she's gotta take care of literally the house, she's gotta take care of Danny, she's gotta clean, gotta make sure the boiler doesn't explode. She's got to feed them. But yeah, I think you are just so much more compassionate than I am. That sometimes when we have these conversations, I'm like, God, I thought I'm such a nice person, but I think I'm kind of a bitch. It's a terrible realization to have about oneself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
I started tearing up too, just thinking about just like that scene that you described where he was like telling her to tell her get the fuck out of get the fuck out of here. Just like whenever you hear me you say doing this. And then that whole scene on the stairs
Oh,
is
oh my god.
also just so terrifying.
Yeah.
Like to me, it's just like I felt like when I was watching, I was like cowering back and almost just like
yeah.
cornered myself because it just has such a way of
Mhm.
making you feel just so unsafe
Yeah.
in that moment.
She does not have like me on the stairs with an is a very different
Baseball bat.
situation with a
Baseball
baseball
bat.
bat. I
Yeah.
beg your pardon. Right with a baseball bat is a very different scenario than because I'm just such a bruiser. I was a gymnast and a dancer, and had my own bakery for 10 years. But that poor little Wendy in that scenario does not have the physical wherewithal to combat that. And that is where my heart is just broken for her. She just bless her heart. Poor Wendy.
Yeah. Yeah, it puts you through the ringer, like
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Just like emotionally. Yeah. Yeah. And so the cause of all this, like some people believe, as far as just like the chaos, is this Overlook Hotel. So we've got this hotel that has this backstory. I mean, it's very briefly explored in the movie, but in a sense, it's its own character. I'm very big on settings. They could be almost characters in and of themselves. So what do you think it is about the Overlook Hotel that just makes it so damn unsettling and creepy as hell?
Yeah, it's so interesting the way, you know, if we all three just went to that hotel to stay for the weekend, have drinks, eat, I think that we would all three probably find it so incredibly warm and gorgeous and whatever. But the way that Stanley filmed, the way, if you recall, think about how slow the scenes are, right? Think about in a way that is so very, very, very current horror movie, right? Oh my God. I mean, do young people even watch this movie? The way that it is foreboding is entirely Stanley Kubrick's pace. It's the pace that he set with the scenes. The conversations are one-on-one almost all the time, right? There are very few group scenes. They are a conversation that happen. They're longer scenes than we are used to as contemporary audience members. It's a slow build, right? Because nothing's really happening at first, right? Until it is.
Yeah.
And it starts with Danny. Does it start with Danny? Yes, it starts with Danny. It starts with Danny. And think about all those low shots, because we're going to put you literally at Danny's height. We're going to literally give you Danny's POV. And so things are going to seem taller. Things are going to seem, it's more foreboding. And then we're going to not give you a real soundscape except the hollow walls, like him writing this, over the carpet, onto the floor, over the carpet. That has its own rhythm, but it's still rather slow moving for a horror movie. But the pace of it, I think it's all Stanley Kubrick just taking this gorgeous, and I think the color wash on it, I don't know, maybe you can talk more to this as a camera person, like the way that maybe just the cameras back then, like, do you think that the slight absence of color is deliberate, or was that as good as our cameras got back then in 1980?
Oh, the color palette was very deliberate, but
Okay, sorry to
also
be-
you talked about the way it's shot. So this is extensive use of Steadicam photography very early in the existence of Steadicam, and I have to double check this, but I believe that they actually pioneered some new Steadicam equipment in order to make it possible to
Yep.
film at that level.
Yes.
The
Yep, you're
low
correct.
angle, Steadicam.
Yeah.
And so you have this contrast. I mean, the opening shot of we've now all become more accustomed to extremely high angle shots thanks to the ease of drone photography. But drone photography didn't exist then, so they had a helicopter shot, an unusually steady helicopter shot. I have to say, you have this very high angle opening scene that makes the car on the road just seem so small. And I think that I think that between the high angles of the helicopter shots to begin with, the low angles going through the hall at Danny's height, you have this. It gives you the sense that the characters are being overwhelmed by the space. And I think that's part of what makes it seem so strange and so scary. But part of it's even hard to put fingers on. I mean, because as you said, the hotel is beautiful.
Yeah.
But there's just something, even when nothing disturbing is happening, there's something so unsettling about the space.
And let's not forget about the isolation aspect. We are constantly being reminded that there's, if you scream, no one will hear you. They are literally like the mice in this ginormous space, right? And up on the mountaintop, completely stranded. I mean, they are stranded.
Yeah.
Um, and we know that going in, so we already know. So probably back in our subconscious, I think that is an element that probably plays in as well. You're kind of like, well, shit, how would I feel if I was, you know, it's like
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want to go down into the kitchen by myself. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh my god, like shit. She's like, well, I'm going down to the kitchen. She's rattling around trying to scramble a few eggs in this kitchen that's probably the size of a football field, you know? Um, which I would have killed to have as a baker, by the way. But yeah, we've been set up from the very start that you are isolated. Nobody is coming for you. Nobody is coming to check on you. You are isolated, and you are very small in this very large space.
Yeah,
So
because
I don't know. That's probably part of it.
Well, I know that Stephen King has written about how an influence for him in this was Shirley Jackson's The Haunting of Hill House.
Oh God.
yes.
And that he was experimenting with the idea of the bad place. And so that isolation, it takes me back to The Haunting and The Haunting of Hill House with no one lives any closer than town, no one will come any closer than that,
Yes.
no one will hear you if you
Yes.
scream. So that's very much. And then something also that comes out of Shirley Jackson's novel is this idea that there's just something disproportionate about the space. And I think that's a key to it. It's something that in Evil Sublet we went for. We specifically used wide angle lenses a lot to create just sort of a slight distortion to the space at higher and lower angles than normal. Because yeah, I think that the key to the bad place environment is it being just something just seeming askew about the whole thing. And I think that The Shining does that perhaps better than anything.
Better than anything.
Let's dig more just like into the use of space, because I feel that is a really big thing that stands out is Stanley Kubrick's direction in this movie. So we mentioned like the long hallways. We got a lot of symmetry going on. And there's even been some people's like, well, this is impossible architecture. A big ballroom could fit into like this like hotel. Like what the hell's going on here? So how how do you feel that Kubrick uses space to distort things? We mentioned distortion, but also disorient the audience.
Well, it's interesting. There's so many shots with the Steadicam shots where you're following people down the hall, around the corner, and around and back. And it's so counterintuitive. You would think, in theory, having an uninterrupted travel around should give you a better sense of the space, but it manages to be so much more disorienting. And I think it really beautifully taps into the feeling of dreams and nightmares, because that's the thing that I think is a universal experience in nightmares, is that the space never quite makes sense. If you turn left and walk down the hall and then backtrack, you're not going to come back to where you were. You're going to be in a totally different space. And I think that's something that that Kubrick really achieved with his use of space.
Yeah, I think we also like you have to remember, because you do spend so much time inside. There are only a few outside shots. We give you a very strong sense of what the space is at the very beginning. You get a couple of outside spaces once the snow has fallen, but I think we have to remember those first initial shots. This is it takes up an entire like mountain top, basically.
Yeah.
It's absolutely epic. And if you don't think it's epic, again, go down to that 2,000 square foot kitchen, because you're feeding hundreds and hundreds of people at a time. So yeah, it's absolutely monstrous. And maybe rooms aren't all like an apartment building, like the D line and the E line. Maybe they're not all, maybe all aren't exactly the same. You don't know. We didn't talk. There's not a lot of talk initially about who created the space and why. And there was a little conversation about who erected the building.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but they didn't talk about, and and then he went crazy and was drinking squirrel piss by the end of his life. Right? Because people there are some crazy freaking, because they started building a house and they just went crazy, right? Like there's places in California.
Well, the Winchester
The
House.
Winchester House, is one of those places. But I don't think that this is one of those. But that doesn't mean that every floor. I can tell you from being a maid in hotels, not every floor is the same. Not every hall surface is like the same layout. I've worked in an epic space that is, it's not all like just little compartments at the Madonna in California. But anyway, yeah, I think that I think you're right. I think that just the chasing around the Steadicam, probably Kubrick used, you have a world of lenses to choose from that distort, that open, that close in, that open again, that normalize, that shrink, that create height. You should never forget like what he probably went through in obtaining each one of those shots as we build.
Yeah, I saw a lot of, I had the DVD, so I saw a lot of the behind the scenes stuff and just like Kubrick. I know to get them, in particular, the shot where Jack is trapped in the pantry.
Oh.
It showed like Kubrick laying down, it's like doing like all like this and like all like weird like angles just to try and get like the point of view just that he wanted.
Yeah. Also, I have a question. Do either one of you was it cold? Is that real snow? What's the situation with that?
Well, they were filming it. They were filming in a studio. They were filming
Yes.
in a studio, not in an actual hotel. But I think it may have been cold.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. You've seen more of the behind the scenes, I think.
So the outside stuff and all of the maze and all that.
Oh, the outside stuff is
Okay, so the outside, there's one mistake. Kubrick is like he's like very big on details, but he made one mistake. It's because there's no breath.
That's what I'm
Coming out
saying.
of
That's what I'm
the-
saying.
yeah.
And they didn't have digital breath back then.
No,
Like, that
so
was
they
not
couldn't
a thing.
add it in post. No.
Exactly,
Well,
exactly. Which we
so-
have now.
Yeah, I think the maze stuff was also filmed on a soundstage,
Okay,
if I
I
remember correctly, but it wasn't a refrigerated one like in John Carpenter's The Thing. So you could see the breath there. Like Kubrick's just like that's the one thing that he missed.
Right.
Well,
I still felt eerie. I
he
still
put-
felt chilly.
He put Shelley Duvall and through enough. I'm glad she wasn't also
Also
put in the
cold on
freezer.
top of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Bless her heart. Oh my God.
Yep, because I remember the behind the scenes stuff too. She's just like, I'm losing my hair. It's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. She was.
For the record, I am entirely against the idea of traumatizing actors to get a traumatized performance from them. I don't think that is responsible.
I don't either.
I am able to separate my love for this particular movie from the process, but I don't think that is I don't think there's any justification for that. It's not ethical and it's not necessary. There are great actors in the world who can present trauma without being subjected to it.
Yeah. It's called acting.
Yeah, exactly. It's called acting. It's like you don't need to traumatize me on top of it all.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. But yeah, that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Allan, so then a lot of crane shots as well. Right? They didn't have the drone.
Well, they were relying heavily on the Steadicam for that, and that creates that floaty effect where it has the dynamism of something that's handheld, but there's this eerie smoothness to it that is it's ghostly.
Yeah. You know what I kept thinking of, because being a producer also, and anybody who's ever worked backstage, but like resetting, going back to one in the snow with oh my God, can you imagine how many takes they must have, and then you've got to like make that snow look pristine again. Like, can we just give it up to the set dressers for like like through the maze, and Danny probably, how many takes did that poor little sweetheart have to go through in like walking backwards and without falling over and making a handprint in the sand, in the snow,
Understand?
in the sand. But think about it, like that probably took so many takes, and then they have to like back to one, reset, make the snow look freshly lain again. I don't know. Anyway, just speaking of details, let's give it up for the
Yes.
to the props and set dressers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And speaking of Danny, it's just like, wow, little, like at the time, like little Danny Lloyd gave an amazing performance as this like 5-year-old that has all this stuff going on around him and like seeing these things that would probably break most adults, but he's somehow just able to, just a little trooper, just somehow able to hang on. And he's got this ability that's known as the Shining. So we had Dick Halloran talk to him just like a little bit about that. That was a nice little exchange at the beginning of the movie. Do you think that Danny having this ability, do you think it gives him I guess more agency than the adults, that he's able to know more about what's going on? Or is it just like, do you feel it's this thing that's like, oh, well, it's The Shining and it's creepy for him to have because he's seeing all these creepy things?
Well, it's both. It's both, because it is specifically because he is able to psychically communicate with Dick Halloran that they are actually, we're getting into spoilers. If you have not seen this movie, stop watching the podcast and go see the movie. It is because of his psychic ability that they are able to escape. So it is agency. But it also seems to be really because of his psychic ability that a lot of this stuff is happening, that the house seems to be charged off of him. And it's certainly where, for a lot of the movie, the horror comes from. I mean, nothing physically happens of an untoward nature until very late in the movie. This superpower that you have, it is a superpower, but it is also the thing that makes you vulnerable.
Yeah. Can we just also just give it up for that child?
Oh my God.
I mean, I'm sorry, but I don't get it. There are very few child performances, and maybe you can chime in on this, but The Omen, The Sixth Sense, and The Shining. And I think honestly, Danny Lloyd
and the other.
Oh, and the other. Oh my God. Not The Others, but The Other of 1972. Uta Hagen. Do you know that film, by the way?
No, I've heard of The Others.
No. You want to check. This is from 1972. It's a little tough to get a hold of, but there's an incredible child performance, and shame on me in this moment for not remembering his name. But anyway, but yeah, I feel like up until this point, Danny doesn't know what he is afflicted with, and I think that he probably believes that it is an affliction, right? Wendy humors him by calling Tony his imaginary friend. I mean, Danny knows that is not true at all, but he's only 5?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but a 5-year-old child, no matter how in tune they are or shined they are, they do not know their own place in the world. They do not know. All they know with the other kids is that they're different and they're weird and that they're ostracized. So his life has probably been shit, and that daddy hurt him, right?
Yeah.
Not that had anything to do with The Shining, but he's, I don't know. I feel very much the way that you do about when he steps foot in the place. He knew going in because Tony told him the place is bad, right? So he knew going in the place was bad. So I'm glad that he and Halloran had that immediate moment of like, you're okay, sweetheart, you're okay. I got you, baby. Just, I see you. I feel you. I think you're going to be fine. You're going to see some stuff here, but I promise you it's like a page in the book. It's a page in the story, which turned out 100% to not be true. Hello.
Like so many things we tell children. Everything's going to be fine. But yeah, I'm
I can't say enough about his performance, and I can't say enough about his journey is so intriguing. The I mean, Tony, whatever, like, unfortunately, it is. We know from Doctor Sleep that he ends up having an absolute garbage life
Yeah.
because of it, strictly because of it. So it's definitely not a gift. It's only a gift in terms of what you said, that because he has the connection with Halloran, they get to escape, because otherwise they would all have frozen to death
Yeah.
Or
I think
worse.
or worse.
Yeah, I think I remember too. Okay, spoilers, like for people who have not seen Doctor Sleep. Again, pause if you have not, because Doctor Sleep is an amazing film. But I remember Danny having a connection of sorts with Halloran. After the fact, that's what he told them how to get rid of the monsters, just like the scary things. It's just like he's like, you put that bitch in that box and you just
Yes.
lock her up. So.
Yes, exactly. That is literally, yeah, that's how he coped. But he didn't, but of course, as we know, he didn't end up coping at all. He
No.
was a raging alcoholic to his, yeah.
It's like history repeating itself.
Exactly.
Like very, very sadly. But also props to Mike Flanagan for getting actors that looked like the actors from the 1980 The Shining for the flashback scenes, like in that movie.
Yeah, for sure.
So we talked a little bit too about how this film just has so many different interpretations. Destruction of the family unit, trauma, you got alcoholism, and just like instances of like abuse going on. There's the whole Indian indigenous burial ground thing. And what's even funny is that some fan theories they have are conspiracy theories just about how about the moon landing. There's like a conspiracy theory just about how Kubrick was talking about the moon landing and how it was faked in there. I mean, it's wild. So, but do you think that all these different interpretations and ambiguity, do you think it makes the film better, or do you think it just makes it more confusing and frustrating?
I never felt a moment of confusion or frustration with, again, maybe it's, being such an avid Stephen King reader, just reading so much Stephen, as much as we can get our hands on. But we're not children. We don't need every single thing spelled out for us. Do I believe in any of the conspiracy theory? No. I think that it's just some people are just bad. I mean, we know that we're living a very bad time right now. Some people are just bad.
Yeah.
People do not have the value for human life. Can I ask you something, Brandy?
Yeah.
Have you ever, just in your travel or even in your hometown or wherever you've gone, have you ever just been in a new place that gave you the creeps?
Yeah. Yeah, just like I think just like even just kind of a strange thing. Any place that's just not the comfort of just my home or my hometown is unfamiliar to me. And in a sense, that unfamiliarity just makes it really, really scary.
Now, wait, where's your hometown?
Springfield, Missouri.
Oh.
So yeah, we've got our own little, I guess, horror like stories there. Just the big one just around here is just like about the albino farm. It's just so the evil, just like it's like the farm's long since like razed to the ground and it's gone now, but still it's just like the whole fact is just like there's just this family there of albinos that lived just like in this house, and if anybody like even like attempted to go up on the farm, they would just like come out just like with like weapons and axes and stuff and just like kill you.
Wow.
So,
Wow. Yeah. I mean, to me, because I definitely feel that a lot. Like I've been in, just sometimes going to places and I'm like, just something's just not right. It doesn't mean that somebody was murdered by an axe dude, or I mean, sometimes again, like it's not such a crazy idea to just have a bad place. You know, we don't understand everything on this planet. And if you claim to know everything on this planet, you're a liar.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Like we don't know everything, and we're essentially we're not meant to.
Yeah. 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 I do hope though in death that we get like some answered question. Like this is my fantasy, like that all life's weird mysteries get, like the meaning of life. Like you only figure that out if you're willing to die, that type of thing. Or like, well, actually, the I don't know, the Bermuda Triangle is whatever, I want to know all that stuff.
Well, if we're speaking of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the answer in the mean life is 42.
Well,
There you
yes,
go.
but then you need the question that goes with that.
And thanks
Yeah.
for the fish.
He's like, 42? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
When I think of The Shining, though, it's just, it didn't do really all that well whenever it was released. People are like, huh? What the hell is this? I don't think financially, I don't have the numbers, but it didn't really do that well theatrically either. But over the years, it's gained its due and the respect it's deserved, and people view it as more of a cult classic now. And so it's just got this big legacy behind it. What do you feel is The Shining's legacy, its mark that it's left on the horror world?
Well, I think it is one of the best. I think along with The Haunting, it's one of the best stories of the mysterious bad place, and it's also one of the best stories of descent into madness and loss of self. And I think it, I think it definitely influenced us on Evil Sublet. We've loaded the movie with homages to it. There's even one key scene that is a shot for shot recreation of a key scene in The Shining. But I imagine it's a heavily influential film for lots of horror lovers and horror creators. I mean, clearly it inspired Mike Flanagan to do something really very different from what Stephen King did in the book Doctor Sleep, to do something that was as much of an homage to Kubrick film as an adaptation of the King book. I mean, I saw once where Jordan Peele did an interview where he didn't say anything about it. He was just dressed as Jack Torrance from the final scenes, which is a subtle enough thing that a lot of people wouldn't notice, but it's a way of signaling that it's important to him. So I think it stands as a giant in clearly, definitely in horror cinema, and also I'd say in cinema overall.
Yeah. I mean, listen, the bottom line is, as we have discussed, it really does have everything. It's got ghosts, it's got axe murder, it's got intrigue, it's got psychic telekinesis type of abilities. But I mean, if you're not a horror fan, I think this is a good movie for you. If you're somebody who likes a thriller, this is a good movie for you. If you're somebody that just wants a psychologic drama, this is a good film for you. I mean, it really does have everything. And maybe back in 1980, that was part of the problem, right? A slasher film knows exactly what it, I mean, I'm not saying that they didn't know what it was, because they did know what it was, but going in as an audience member, if you're going to see a slasher film, you know exactly what you're going to get.
Yeah.
There are very few surprises, let's be honest with each other. But this, if you don't know what you're walking into, and you're just a moviegoer, you I don't know. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe it didn't hold popularity because they didn't quite know how to bill it. I don't remember seeing television commercials for it. I don't know. But I mean, and now, thank God it's caught on, because, I think it's so epic for so many reasons.
I think it's going to be like, 50 years old? Like,
well, 45. We actually just celebrated the 45th
Oh, yeah, on
anniversary.
Friday, right?
Well, yeah. So Friday the 13th of June was the 45th anniversary of the U.S. its wide release. The wide release came on June 13th, 1980, which was also a Friday the 13th. So I don't know. Maybe that was unlucky for the box office, but clearly the film has achieved it's earned its place as just as a major entry in cinematic history.
Yeah, I would definitely say so. And if you have not yet seen The Shining, I'm speaking to everybody out there who's watching this. If you have not yet seen The Shining and you're kind of like, oh, maybe this is, I don't know. I hear a lot of people talk about it now. Maybe it's overrated, and I don't like a lot of overrated things. I would still encourage you to give it a shot, especially just like Jennifer, like you mentioned, if you like just like psychological thrillers, dramas, just like, because it's a slow burn and it's not a whole lot of gore, and it's easy to get into.
Yes. Well, depending on how you define gore, it is either not a whole lot of gore or the most gore ever until the substance. I mean, the one shot I think everybody knows where the elevator opens and that tidal wave of blood comes out. I mean, that is, I mean, that's just one of the most extraordinary images in the history of cinema.
Yeah. But I just want to say, too, if you're an adult and you're just watching this movie for the first time, I want you to do these things. I want you to watch it at night. I want you to shut off all of the lights. I want you to maybe have a few little glowy candles, perhaps.
Put your phone in an entirely different room.
Get your phone out. Get it out. Turn it off. Put do not disturb sign on the door. Get yourself into a quiet, dark space. Get you all cuddled up in your whatever and watch this movie. And if you don't feel something, then you're dead inside, and I feel bad for you. So there you go.
Yeah, going back also to just like the gore thing, probably not a lot of gore for me because I'm very much into slashers and movies with just like a lot of gore them. So for me, just like this is very, very tame.
Yeah.
Well, yes, there actually is. There's actually very little violence that occurs. The violence that occurs is shocking when it occurs.
Yeah.
But there is, I would say actually in that respect, it's a lot like Psycho. The violence is shocking. It really gets you on an emotional level. You do not see gore as a result of the violence, and everything else is dread that is sort of surrounding that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, there's room 237. I mean, that is, yeah. I mean, that's on the gore scale, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me as a first time watcher, as a young adult, that messed me up pretty good. Pretty good. Now as an adult, I'm like, can I redo my bathroom like that? I don't know. Can we? I think we should.
Nice. So pretty looking.
Yeah. But yeah, I think on the gore scale, it's definitely not high on the gore scale, but it is super high on the emotionally mess you up scale. Yeah.
So if you're in the mood to be emotionally messed up, watch The Shining.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Yeah. So there we go. There's my endorsement of it. Just there's certain movies you have to be in the right headspace to watch. Like you have to be in the mood to be sad, or you have to be in the mood to be emotionally wrecked. Yeah. Shining is one of those.
Yeah. But sad for me. See, the reason it's pablum to a girl like me is because I just like my horror movies to be also really sad. I need my heart just broken, like I need there to be a factor in it where it is just like you don't know what is going on. There's absolutely no fix right? There's
Yeah.
no fix for it. It is what it is, and your heart is going to be broken, and you find yourself just aching for these characters. That is what really gets me.
Yeah.
Anyway, on a personal note.
Yeah. And in a sense, horror is comforting. It may seem really weird to people who just are not that into horror to be like, well, why would you put yourself through so much like emotional, like, highs and lows and seeing all this, like, seeing all this stuff is like on screen that's terrifying. It's like, why would you put yourself through all that in the name of comfort? Just like, because it's comforting. Like it's our happy place.
Yeah,
Like,
it really is. I mean, it really truly is. I
Well,
don't know.
it's catharsis, and
Yeah.
especially at times when there is great real life fear
Mhm.
in the world, as there is at this moment. I think people have historically turned to
Yeah.
fictional horror stories, uh, probably going all the way back to the earliest stories that humans told around the fire
Yeah.
when they were wondering, well, is our little community going to survive this winter? I think it is. I think it's that humanity reaches out for.
Yeah, I would definitely 100% agree. We find our comfort in the situations that we know we can control. We know we go into a horror movie, it's full of fears, it's full of scares, but it's only for just like that hour and a half, it's like or 2 hours. So you step into something that just you can control. With the big scary world out there, it's like you can't really control that. But
Not at all.
watch a horror movie for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. You can escape and you can control that.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And maybe it's a comparison also, like, well, maybe my husband's an asshole, but he's no Jack Torrance. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like I thought in my life, well, you know what? I'm fine. That's not a dig at you, baby.
Okay.
That's no. That's not a dig at him.
You dig at him all you want.
Eh, we'll save that
Oh,
for later.
okay. Okay, now we're to the portion of Retro Horror School Talks that I like to call the what if. So I'm very big on putting myself into the shoes of characters or just thinking about, okay, well, what would I do in this scenario or what would these characters probably do if the situation was flipped? So here's the what if to noodle on. What if the situation was reversed and Wendy was the one to go mad instead of Jack? How do you think the story would have changed there? Would
I,
she have the same kind of descent into madness, or do you think it would just been a completely different like arc?
well, I don't know. Maybe then it would have been a movie more like Hereditary. Um,
Oh.
I think. I mean, that would be fascinating. I think it would be. Uh, Obviously, it would be a completely different movie. Uh, One of the things that Jen mentioned is that sort of in the history of movies, there don't tend to be as many uh, really substantial roles for women. That was something particularly when writing Evil Sublet that I wanted to create for Jen a role where she would get to be everything, where she would get to be funny and scary and sexy and heroic and frightening. Uh, so yeah, would it be, that would be. I think somebody ought to do that. Somebody ought to just re-envision their own version of a Shining type story where it is the mom who becomes the danger to the family. I think that would be utterly terrifying, but in just different ways from The Shining.
Yeah, I'm afraid that I might sound a little sexist when I say this. We're not talking about current times. You're talking about 1980, and you're talking about, Wendy. And Wendy definitely was not a gal who like worked out, had a bunch of physical strength. I mean, it kind of goes back to these archetypical male and female relationships. If Wendy started really drowning in um, some bizarre cocoon of madness, and Jack were the solid, caretaker, I don't think that he would have let it go on for too long. You know what I mean? I think that he would have like, oh crap, Wendy's in trouble. I've got to get the, snowcat down the thing and get a doctor up here. I mean, he would have, he would have snapped up Danny and said, we're going for a ride, Dan. And down the hill they would go, brought back, the fire department or whoever he had to do, that. But I mean, sadly, Wendy, and not anything against her at all, but she didn't have the physical strength to combat what was happening. She didn't have any sort of lived experience to cope, with this type of thing. I mean, not that men necessarily by their gender have innately, but in a lot of they do have at least physical strength, and they tend not to generally be quite as burdened by the emotional, and maybe they can, have a clear moment and say, what do I need to do? How do I need to be in this moment? Shit, I gotta go down the hill. I gotta bring somebody back. This is not right. Maybe Wendy and Dan need to go back to, our home and stay, and maybe I can stay here by myself for the rest of the summer. Whatever. Call Wendy's mom. I don't know. I just don't think it would be the same. Going back to, you keep bringing up The Haunting, we see what happens when a woman is afflicted by the bad space. It didn't take long for her to start literally drowning in her madness. And I have and it didn't end well for her. And I have a feeling in 1980, something written that way for Wendy, it would have I don't think she would have taken everyone down with her. I think she would have just gone down by herself. I'm sorry if that sounds sexist. I just don't know if she would cope very well.
Nah, it's good that you brought up historical context, because unfortunately something like that might have been written and that's how it would go down. Now, in the year of our Lord 2025, we would be a very different kind of tale. And we have come a long way in getting substantial parts for just women and LGBTQ community and the Black community. But we still, I think, have a very long way to go. We're getting better.
Well, again, not to keep bringing it up, but I mean, I have to keep bringing it up because it's completely relevant. I mean, that is why I love our film Sublet so much. I mean, if he had written a Wendy type character for me, well, would I have been able to play her? Absolutely 100%.
But I wouldn't have written that.
But you've written that for me because I'm me, and because I'm kind of an asshole, and I'm strong, and I'm just, I'm butch and I'm strong, and I do get to be not a victim of the bad. I'm definitely 100% in the film a victim of the bad place, but because we are where we are and come so far emotionally, we go to therapy now, I don't know, we take care of ourselves, we don't smoke so much, whatever, we work out so we can, you go and throw an axe on the weekend, whatever you have to do, which, by the way, sadly I'm very bad at, but I didn't, my role, I shouldn't give too much away, I want people to watch our film, but yeah, I don't succumb. I could have, if our film were written back then, I think, I don't know, people would have thought it was weird. But now it's a very different time now, right? You do have to talk about things from that perspective. You do have to, you can say it's sexist, you can say it's, disgusting and it's whatever, but people can't be any place. You can't be where you're not. You just can't, So, and they were where they were where they were at the time. And that's just it.
Yep. Got to look at where we started to just see how we ended up. So,
yeah. And, and just a few years later after this film, we do give you, I'm thinking of Sigourney Weaver in Alien. Mm-hmm. You do give a woman this talk about a bad place, or just a very bad situation.
Yeah.
That is the first time you give a woman this absolutely kick-ass, heroic, slayer of all the bad things,
Mhm.
so she's coming, but they weren't there yet, we were not
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
Halloween a little bit too.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think
Yeah, Halloween,
horror's
yeah.
been a genre where women have been the victors and vanquishers ahead of the rest of media.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Final Girl,
Yeah.
even with, yeah.
Yeah, like horror, like definitely has been the most just like a pro woman genre. But like I said, there was still just like the kind of things that going on back then, and I'm glad that we're in just like a better place now. Like as I mentioned, even if we still have like a really long way to go. So,
Yeah,
no.
for sure.
Yeah. All right, now we're to the retro lightning round where I'm just going to be asking fun little questions like about the movie. You can say the first answer that pops into your head, and you can just have it be a quick answer, or you can extrapolate on the answer just as much as you want. So, first question: do you think the Overlook Hotel could exist in other horror universes?
Absolutely. Again, I think I love the way it was brought back into Doctor Sleep. Obviously, that was a tie-in, but I would like to know. We do a lot of retroactive, not retroactive, but prequels rather to some of the other shit that went down there in all the. What was it? When was it built? 1921, 1927,
1907.
1907. Oh my god, I can't believe I didn't remember that. But come on, so much bad shit happened there. He talked about the one thing that happened 10 years ago, a man dropped a bullshit. You are leaving out a litany of bad things so I think that we could use the Overlook for so many jumping off places for other films. Next.
And we know from Doctor Sleep, the novel, that it definitely exists in the same universe as Plot.
Yes.
Right. Yes, Stephen King's like connects like a lot of his like different like his stories like together. It's just like I can barely keep track of what I have for breakfast this morning, and here he is, like like making all these other connections.
Totally.
Now, what is the creepiest moment in this film that still sticks with you?
Room 237.
Just say right off the bat, room 237.
Yep.
Boom. Okay. Do you think that Jack Torrance is inherently evil, or is he just like a very, very, very broken man?
I'm not sure. Perhaps both.
Do you think the movie would have worked if Kubrick had stuck closer to King's original book and not done something?
Here's the thing, and this is I think that books and movies work totally differently. And I think that what makes Stephen King's writing brilliant isn't the series of events that happen. It's not whether it's room 237 or 217. It's not whether the VW bug is red or yellow. What makes it brilliant is how you feel connected to the characters and the emotions that they make you feel. And so, yes, the movie is different from the book in a lot of ways, but I think the movie gives you a sense of fear, just a nonstop sense of dread that is very much akin to what you feel reading the book. And so in that sense, I think that it is arguably a more faithful adaptation than many Stephen King adaptations that maybe adhere more strictly to the plot point, but that don't capture the magic. And I would say that, I will say that what Stephen King does brilliantly in the book with the topiary garden could not ever have been done in 1980 in a way that would be scary. And yet Kubrick found a way to retain the scariness, a general scariness of topiary in a totally different way. I think the confrontation, the final confrontation between Danny and Jack in the book, that is just so heartrending in the book, we've already talked about how brilliant Danny Lloyd was, but I don't know if you could make any child actor actually deliver that scene at that age in a way that was as powerful as what Danny Lloyd ended up doing. So I think so no, I think the movie works because of the differences in some cases, as opposed to in spite of them. And I have to freely confess, I have not seen the Nick Garris uh, 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 miniseries, which, as I understand, does more close, so I can't offer that as a point of comparison.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, so
I haven't either.
It's like I just look at it, it's like, no, I think I'll stick with the movie. I'll stick with the movie and the book, and I think I'll be fine.
So I failed to give you a lightning round on that. That was a rather in-depth thing.
No, that's okay. That's I even said you could like say it really fast, or you could just expound on it. Because some people, they like to go on and talk about it a lot, and some just give quick answers. So it's basically a retro lightning round in spirit more than anything. Okay, so then the last question for both of you. Do you think you would survive a weekend at the Overlook?
Absolutely.
Oh, so you're confident.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
He's like, sure, why not?
Well, if she's confident, then
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to say that I wouldn't be frightened, because I do have super strong spidey senses and have been in messed up places before, and I don't love that, but I think I would. I think for all of the reasons that I've sort of enunciated so far, because yeah. So,
All right. Well, as they say, all good things must come to an end. Unfortunately, well, sad face, but this has been such an awesome conversation about The Shining. So, Allan and Jennifer, thank you once again so much for coming on and talking The Shining with me and talking about your movie Evil Sublet. Like, I really do appreciate it.
thank you so much
Thank
for
you
having
for having
us.
us on.
Yeah,
And
awesome.
if people love The Shining, Evil Sublet feels nothing like it. Very, very different tone. But if you love The Shining, there will be so much for you in Evil Sublet for you to get a kick out of. And if you love stories about bad spaces where haunted things happen that aren't a traditional house, then it's for you. It's on Tubi and Amazon. And Jen is absolutely outstanding, as is Sally Struthers, as is a great cast.
Oh,
and
God.
I just can't rave about them enough, so I hope you check it out.
Yeah, and I will have links as to where people can check out your movie Evil Sublet below in the description below just this video. So to everybody out there, thank you for watching Retro Horror School Talks. Be sure to like and subscribe and share and do all the things if you like retro horror movies, and class is dismissed. And remember, all work and no play makes horror fans very dull indeed. Bye.